This is a film about a trip to Panama to see its world-famous canal and its amazing bird life. The dream of a canal across the Isthmus of Panama was started by the Spanish in 1534. However, it took until 1881 when construction was actually started by France following its successful construction of the Suez Canal. Our flight into the airport of Panama City took us over the numerous ships queuing at the Pacific entrance of the Panama Canal. The unsuccessful French construction attempts lasted from 1881 to 1894, when tools were downed and a buyer sought for the works. An estimated 20,000 men died from disease and accidents during the French effort. A cargo ship takes between 10 to 12 hours to cover the 51 miles or 82 kilometers of the canal that connects the two oceans. The average cost of a transit is about $100,000. The United States formally took control of the French Canal property in 1904, and over the next 10 years, despite an enormous effort to reduce mosquito-spread diseases, about 5,600 workers died of disease and accidents. Finally, the canal was opened with the transit of the canal by the steamship Ancon on the 15th of August, 1914. Panama City, with a population nearing 1 million, is the capital of Panama. The city was founded in 1519 by the Spanish. Within a few years of its founding, the city became the launching point for the exploration and conquest of Peru and a transit point for gold and silver headed back to Spain across the Isthmus of Panama. The dramatic El Tornillo Tower, completed in 2011, rotates around its central axis, turning 360 degrees as it ascends, giving it the appearance of a screw. The numerous banks in the downtown are evidence that Panama City is an international banking center. However, there is a shady side involving international money laundering and tax evasion, as revealed with the release of the Panama Papers. Casco Viejo is Panama City's cobblestone historic center. It's famed for colonial-era landmarks like the neoclassical Palacio Presidencial and the bougainvillea-filled plazas lined with cafes and bars. There was lots of security in the area since government officials work and live in the area. There are good views to be had of modern Panama City, including the El Tornillo Tower, which looks to be heavily pixelated due to its layered design. In 1826, Simon Bolivar, the president of Gran Colombia, held the Panama Congress to prevent Spain reclaiming its lost possessions in the Americas. When the rich moved out of Casco Viejo to other parts of the city, many of the beautiful Spanish colonial buildings became dilapidated. As the area is now designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, some of the buildings have been meticulously restored, but many others continue to decay. As dusk came on, it was time for supper, and the rooftop restaurants that looked out over the water towards modern Panama City were the place to eat. The Rainforest Discovery Center area is one of the most renowned places in the world for birdwatching, with hundreds of species frequenting the area. We hoped that the three-toed sloth in our car would lead to a sighting of this curious animal in the wild. We climbed up 32 meters to the top of the center's observation tower to get above the jungle canopy to see some of the birds and animals that live at that level.
See that he flies in a little wavy motion? Yeah. Oh man, right there. It's a perfect motion. Ahora sí se ve.
I wonder why they made a bird like that. It looks so top heavy. It's a big beak.
Maybe the creator was running out of ideas.
We were lucky to see a three-toed sloth wonderfully camouflaged in the crown of a tree where it could safely eat leaves. Three-toed sloths are about the size of a small dog or a large cat. We chanced upon a giant metallic orchid bee that has a brilliant green metallic coloration and an amazingly long proboscis to gather nectar from flowers. Panama has some 59 species of hummingbirds. Leafcutter ants harvest leaves and carry them back to their underground nests to serve as the nutritional substrate for the fungus that they cultivate and eventually eat. The canal is an amazing engineering achievement that included the building of both the largest dam and the largest man-made lake in the world at the time, namely the Gatun Dam and the Gatun Lake. Once completed, the size of the locks on the Panama Canal restricted the size of the ships that could transit through it to carrying about 4,500 20-foot-long containers. This size was known as Panamax size. As ocean-borne commerce dramatically rose with globalization, the Panama Canal started to lose business as ships became too big for the canal. Hence, Panama decided to build a new set of locks to increase the size of permitted ships to 12,000 20-foot-long containers, a size known as post-Panamax size. The United States Navy demanded that its warships be able to pass through the Panama Canal. Hence, the size of American warships was constrained by the Panamax size limits, whilst the Imperial Japanese Navy wasn't, so it built bigger battleships such as the Yamato. At Monkey Island, the capuchin monkeys and the tamarans come out when they hear the motorboats arriving, as they become habituated to humans and know that they'll be fed by their visitors.
These are called Jeffroy's tamarins. The smallest monkeys in Central America.
The common basilisk is also known as the Jesus Christ lizard for its ability to run across the surface of the water. It certainly has no resemblance to the giant serpent, also known as the basilisk, in the Harry Potter novel.
What? No, I don't want anything.
This guy's the most friendliest guy ever.
Oh, hello.
Yes, we are. This one is a white-faced capuchin.
Do you know that one? Like that one in this floor?
Yeah,
Can you tell them apart?
Hello, how's life?
Currently, scores of ships are backing up outside the canal entrances as low water levels linked to an El Nino-related drought has led authorities to restrict travel through this globally critical trade artery. Even though it's the wet season, Gatun Lake, which provides most of the water to move the ships through the locks, is about 3 feet or a meter below normal. Around 50 million gallons or 190 million liters of water is required to move each ship through the locks, only some of which is recycled. To reduce water loss during the drought, the number of ships allowed to make the crossing has been limited to 32 per day, down from the average of 36 in normal times. As well, displacement restrictions have been imposed on the vessels. We passed by the huge floating crane named Titan that was built by the Nazis in 1941 and seized as war reparations and then brought across the North Atlantic. Following our cruise on Gatun Lake, we drove east to the Atlantic side of Panama to see the Agua Clara locks near Colón City. We wanted to visit Colón City on the Atlantic Ocean, but our tour company refused, stating that it would be too dangerous. To see the locks in action, we visited the Agua Clara locks, which are the new post-Panamax-sized locks that opened in 2016. They are located in tandem with the original Panamax-sized Gatun locks, which opened in 1914. Both set of locks are in service. Ironically, one of the ships waiting to enter the Agua Clara locks was the Ever Legion, a ship sailing for the Evergreen Line, a shipping company that got one of its ships stuck in the Suez Canal and blocked all traffic through it for 6 days. To raise or lower ships between two levels, lock chambers form a staircase between the levels. Underground pipes and valves permit the passage of water to equalize the water level in adjacent lock chambers. That's when the lock gates can open and the ship can move forward into the next lock. And so the process repeats. Just as the lock gate was opening and the freighter was being towed into the lock, the skies opened in a tropical downpour. That was good news to the canal authorities concerned about the diminishing water levels in Gatun Lake. In the original locks, locomotives known as mules keep the ships in place as the water level is raised or lowered. However, in the new locks, there are no mules. Instead, tugs latch on at both the bow and the stern and accompany the ships inside the 1,400-foot-long locks. When the lock doors close on a 1,200-foot post-Panamax ship, there is little room to operate for the 90-foot tugs positioned both fore and aft. The flight of 3 locks raises or lowers ships some 85 feet or 26 meters between Gatun Lake and the Atlantic Ocean. Although only half the length of the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal was much more of an engineering challenge due to the combination of terrain, climate, mosquito-borne diseases, and the need for canal locks. A potential rival to the Panama Canal has been around for centuries in the form of the Nicaraguan Canal. This has spurred some interest in the construction of a 4th set of locks in Panama. However, to date, neither has proceeded. From the Agua Clara locks can be seen the brand new Atlantic Bridge, which is a road bridge spanning the Atlantic entrance to the canal. We were lucky to see the highlights of Panama, but there is much more to discover in this tiny country. If you enjoyed this film, please subscribe and like. There are many more similar films available on my channel.